All right, we're continuing in the book of marriage in the text of Abu Shuja, rahimahullah ta'ala. And we have reached Fasl, the section on a man accusing his wife of adultery upon the lack of religious evidence. Meaning, a man wants to accuse his wife, but he does not have the 4 witnesses required to accuse a person of zina. Because you know the rule. If you accuse a person of zina without the 4 witnesses, then you deserve to be whipped. That's person by person. If he accused his wife of that without accusing any particular man, and he doesn't have 4 witnesses, and he doesn't do what we're going to talk about tonight, then he deserves 80 lashes. And if he were to name a man, so he accused 2 people of that, then he deserves 80 more lashes. And who is exempted from this lashing for such an accusation? The parents. The parent. So if the parent accused the child of that, then the parent is not whipped, but anyone else is whipped, including the husband accusing his wife. And this issue occurred, this was revealed, the reason for the revelation of these rules that we are going to discuss now is that there was a companion who accused his wife of zina in the presence of the Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa ala ikhwanihi nabiyyin wa sallam. And so the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam told that man, bring your witnesses or be lashed in your back. Because that was the rule at the time. The rules of what we are going to discuss tonight were not yet revealed. And this issue is called li'an. Li'an. Li'an means damning. That means cursing. What the pattern of li'an, the sarfi pattern might imply, I don't know. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam told the man, bring your witnesses, your 4 witnesses, or be lashed in your back. So the man said, O Prophet of Allah, if a man caught his wife committing adultery with another man, would he go and bring witnesses to watch? So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam told him, bring your witnesses or be lashed in your back. So he said to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, O Messenger of Allah, this is a matter that if you say something, you are punished. And if you are silent, then you will be silent about something severe. Like this man found himself between a rock and a hard place. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not refute that man's statement. So that man, in his faith and reliance on Allah, he said, I swear by Allah, I am truthful, and Allah will reveal something to you so that I will not be punished. And after that, Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala revealed to his Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. These are ayat 6 through 9 of Surah An-Nur. والذين يرمون أزواجهم ولم يكن لهم شهداء إلا أنفسهم فشهادة فشهادة أحدهم أربع شهادات بالله إنه لمن الصادقين والخامسة أن لعنة الله عليه إن كان من الكاذبين ويدرؤ عنها العذاب أن تشهد أربع شهادات بالله إنه لمن الكاذبين والخامسة أن غضب الله عليها إن كان من الصادقين. So these verses, they mean وَالَّذِينَ يَرْمُونَ أَزْوَاجَهُمْ, those who accuse their wives. So this is the man initiating this, not the woman. Those men who accuse their wives of adultery. وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُمْ شُهَدَاءُ إِلَّا أَنفُسُهُمْ, and they had no witnesses but themselves. So this means they need to be witness. So they need to be witness, or it could be that he's not a witness, but based on something that he finds a strong clue, he is convinced that his wife committed zina, such as that the whole neighborhood is talking about it in a way that is not a mere gossip. It's not a rumor. In a way that it doesn't appear to be a mere rumor. So he saw that, or he has some other clue. But without that, without seeing it, neither seeing it nor even having such a clue, then it's not permissible for him to engage in this damning. But those who do accuse their wives, and they have no witnesses but themselves, فَشَهَادَةُ أَحَدِهِمْ أَرْبَعُ شَهَادَاتٍ بِاللَّهِ, then the testimony of one of them, one of such people, is to testify by God 4 times. Why 4 times he will testify by God? Those 4 times are a replacement for the 4 witnesses. إِنَّهُ لَمِنَ الصَّادِقِينَ. His testimony by God is that he is indeed certainly amongst the truthful. وَالْخَامِسَةُ أَنَّ لَعْنَةَ اللَّهِ عَلَيْهِ إِن كَانَ مِنَ الْكَاذِبِينَ. And the 5th time he says, may God's dam be upon him if he is amongst the liars. So he prays against himself in the 5th time. ويدرؤ عنها العذاب أن تشهد 4 شهادات بالله. And then they will divert the punishment from her if she testifies 4 times by God. So what does that mean? Means if she does not testify 4 times by God, they will not divert the punishment from her. Then she will be punished by virtue of his damning. And he means if she doesn't defend herself here, then she will be punished. She too will testify 4 times by God, إِنَّهُ لَمِنَ الْكَاذِبِينَ, that he is indeed amongst the liars. والخامسة أن غضب الله عليها إن كان من الصادقين. And the fifth statement of hers is that may the punishment of God be upon her. That may the punishment of God be upon her if he is amongst the truthful. So those are the ayats of the Quran with just brief translation for you. Now let's read some of the law according to what's documented in the book of Abu Shuja'. Because learning the tafsir of the ayah is not necessarily going to give you the judicial rules there, not all of them, and not in detail. Because the Quran was not revealed to be like stereo instructions. Rather, the Quran is revealed with miraculous words and is highly stylized. And from this eloquent Quran, these scholars write out their detailed books that might be more like stereo instructions, not so stylized. And so the author says, Fasl, section. وَإِذَا رَمَى الرَّجُلُ زَوْجَتَهُ بِالزِّنَا. When a man accuses his wife of fornication or adultery, فَعَلَيْهِ حَدُّ الْقَذْفِ. Then he is to receive, yani upon him, on him, he deserves the punishment of accusing someone of fornication. That's one of the revealed punishments, a very important one. Or else, without that, then there will be a lot of scandal, spread, and slander. And then things become like a circus, like Jerry Springer. Maury Povich, those things. If this rule were being implemented, there's no way that such shows would even be able to air. إلا أن يقيم البينة أو يلاعن, unless, yani, the only way for him to accuse his wife of adultery and not be punished is if he presents evidence, and the evidence is the four witnesses. Four witnesses means that they saw his organ in her organ. Not less than that. And not through a camera. Either he brings his evidence, which is the four witnesses, or yula'in, or he goes through the process of li'an. فيقول عند الحاكم. Thus, he says, in the presence of the judge, al-hakim, yani he's going to go to the ruler, or who replaces the ruler. And it's even possible to appoint a judge for this, a muhakkam. I think twice before you, yeah, he thinks it's a good idea to accept that position, though. Yeah, you're just a regular brother. Think twice before you. Someone asks you, can you be my muhakkam in this? You said, I think I'm missing the definition of li'an. So the li'an is a procedure in which a man accuses his wife of adultery yani, when he does not have the four witnesses to do so. And then there are rules based on doing this. If he were to do this, then there are rules that follow. That's what we want to address today. You want to follow up? You have a question before I continue? So how come not through camera, like a video? Because this is, yeah. Do you see how is the AI today? I know they didn't have it then, but they have it now. And even then, you were able to manipulate the video. Those things not our religious standard. What is through the camera or fingerprints? It's not religious proof. And like we said, DNA, that's not religious proof. And lots of the forensics that the detectives do, not religious proof. I listened to some stories. They're supposed to be forensic stories, and they have stories where they narrowly didn't punish a person based on their forensic. Narrowly. Yani, if it wasn't for just some clue they found, they would have punished the person. That in itself shows the invalidity of what they are doing. And if they didn't find, for example, a beer bottle somewhere or some mud on someone's shoes somewhere, then they would have punished somebody. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Anyway, so this is what he does when he is in this situation. The li'an. فيقول عند الحاكم, and thus he says in the presence of the judge. في الجامع, in the main masjid, the jami'. Now, the jami' is not a condition, but it is a recommendation. And the main masjid means when you have a Muslim society, they would have in a town, like a big town, they would have a main masjid where they hold the Jumu'ah. So the city would have masjids in different spots, but one main masjid so the whole town can pray together. That's called al-jami'. So then it's recommended for him to do this in the jami'. I'm going to call it the main masjid. Ala al-mimbar, on a platform, on the pulpit, on the mimbar. Fi jama'atin minan nas, in an assembly of people. For him to say, أشهد بالله أنني لمن الصادقين فيما رميت به زوجتي فلانة من الزنا. I testify by Allah that I am indeed truthful about the adultery of which I have accused my wife, so-and-so, my wife Fulana. وَإِنَّ هَذَا الْوَلَدَ مِنَ الزِّنَا, and that this child is certainly from adultery. He's saying, it's not my child, I disown this child. وَلَيْسَ مِنِّي, not from me. أَرْبَعَ مَرَّاتٍ, 4 times he says this. وَيَقُولُ فِي الْمَرَّةِ الْخَامِسَةِ, then he says, then the 5th time he says, after being admonished by the judge, Yani, he's going to say what he says 4 times. Then the judge is going to, before he proceeds, here the judge is going to remind him to fear Allah and to tell him about the afterlife. And he might even command someone to put his hand over that man's mouth and then say what he wants to say, the judge. The judge might command someone to put his hand over that man's mouth, and then the judge will say what he wants to say. And maybe this will, if this man is lying, maybe this will deter him from completing the procedure. So then after that, if he wants to continue, بعد أن يعظه الحاكم, after being admonished by the judge, he says, وعلي لعنة الله إن كنت من الكاذبين. May the damn of God be upon me if I am a liar. So he makes dua against himself there. That's serious. Don't make dua against yourself. Why not? Because Allah might answer your dua. That's how real the dua, the answered dua is. You make dua against yourself, it might get answered. Instead of making dua against yourself, you make dua for yourself. One sister told me that she was afraid she had low status because she hadn't had a calamity in a while. So she made dua for calamity. And Allah made her very sick, very severe fever, very severe. She had to go to the hospital. And there's hadiths about that, not to get far off the topic here. Instead of making dua against yourself, say, ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. That's what the Prophet told a man who made dua against himself, and Allah answered his dua. That man made dua against himself, and Allah answered his dua and made his limbs start to cave in. It's like his arms are going into his body and his legs are going into his body and he's getting smaller. So then in the 5th instance, he's going to make dua against himself here. And he says, وَعَلَيَّ لَعْنَةُ اللَّهِ إِن كُنْتُ مِنَ الْكَاذِبِينَ. May the damn of God be upon me if I am a liar. Okay, I'll write it down for you, inshallah. وَيَتَعَلَّقُ بِلِعَانِهِ خَمْسَةُ أَحْكَامٍ. 5 rulings relate to his li'an. سُقُوطُ الْحَدِّ عَنْهِ, to be acquitted of his punishment, the 80 lashes that he would have deserved for accusing her like that without the 4 witnesses. That's one thing. He won't get punished with that. وَوُجُوبُ الْحَدِّ عَلَيْهَا, and the obligation of the punishment being inflicted on her. That's if she doesn't do something to protect herself from that. وَزَوَالُ الْفِرَاشِ, the breaching of their marriage. زَوَالُ الْفِرَاشِ. Yani, so very literally as if it says, and the bed going away. This means their marriage contract is broken. So add this to your cases of what breaks a marriage contract other than a divorce. What breaks a marriage contract? Yani, including a divorce. What breaks a marriage contract? Divorce is one. What else? Apostasy is another. What else? Khula is another. If we take the saying that khula is not a divorce. What else? Li'an is something that will break the marriage contract, though it is not a divorce. And there's still other things too. وَنَفْيُ الْوَلَدِ, and the denial of the child. Yani, that child will be legally not attributed to him. And this needs to be done immediately if he wants to deny the child, that is. Because it's possible to do the li'an without denying the child. And it's possible to deny the yani. It's possible to accuse the wife without denying the child, and it's possible to deny the child without accusing the wife. And in the example that the author gave us here, the man did both. He accused his wife and he denied the child. But how could it be that he denies the child without accusing his wife? Because could be that, for example, she was forced. So he doesn't want to accuse his wife, but he wants to deny the child. Or it could be that there was a mix-up. Yani, that's possible. وَطْءُ شُبْهَةٍ وَطْءُ شُبْهَةٍ Yani, mistaken sexual intercourse. And you might possibly scratch your head about that, but that's because probably if you scratch your head about that, that's probably because you live in a place that has electricity and modern things. But if you were not in such a situation, then it might be easier for you to see how something like that could happen. And Sheikh Samiri gave us an example too, when some people just couldn't understand. So he said, I'll give you just an example so you can just understand. He said, a man married a woman. This is a real story. A man married a woman, yani, without seeing her. That's in the first place possible. That shouldn't be hard for you to understand. And she also moved into his house. But it's a village. They don't have electricity. And he must leave to work. He must leave to go to work before Fajr even comes in. Before Fajr comes in, he needs to leave. And he doesn't come home until after nighttime. So he said one time the man came home early and he found a woman outside his house. So he asked his neighbors, who's that woman? They told him, that's your wife. So he gave us that there just to make us understand how something like that is even feasible. Any mistaken intercourse. So could be that a man wants to deny the child but not accuse his wife. Or it could be that he wants to accuse his wife and not deny the child. If he wants to deny the child, he must do it immediately. Yani, he cannot wait for even more than a day. Although he can retract his denial of the child even a long time later, but he cannot enact the denial unless he does it immediately. Are there details about a person who doesn't know that he has to do it immediately, etc.? Save the details for later. Just take as much as I'm giving you for now. Take the base of the case. So, 5 things happen because of this accusation. He will be acquitted of the punishment that he would have deserved for the accusation, the lashing. And it will be obligatory to punish her. That's if she does not respond. And then, but that punishment's going to be stoning to death. Stoning to death. And 3, the breach of their marriage contract. So now it's clear for you. 4, the denial of the child, if that were part of his procedure, denying the child. And 5, وَالتَّحْرِيمُ إِلَى الْأَبَدِ, and to be forever forbidden to marry her again. And he can never marry this woman again. So that's more than just divorcing her 3 times. What happened if you divorce your wife 3 times? You can't marry her again unless she marries another man and goes through what she has to go through there that you know about. In this case, he will never be able to get back with her, ever. ويسقط الحد عنها بأن تلتعن. The punishment is dropped from her by her going through the process of ilti'an. So the letter's a little bit different there. I haven't learned about what the scholars say about those letters. Inshallah, or yani, if I took it, I don't remember it now. Inshallah, we'll review that. Thus she says 4 times, yani she responds 4 times. فتقول أشهد بالله إن فلانا هذا لمن الكاذبين فيما رماني به من الزنا. Thus, she says, I testify by Allah that this person, Anna, Fulanan, yani, that so and so, this so and so, is certainly a liar. إن فلانا هذا لمن الكاذبين فيما رماني به من الزنا. He is certainly a liar about the adultery of which he has accused me. أربع مرات. 4 times. She says that 4 times. وتقول في المرة الخامسة. Then she says the 5th time, and like before, the judge will stop her, and he might even command a woman to put her hand over her mouth to stop her, and then the judge will admonish her. بعد أن يعظها الحاكم وعلي غضب الله إن كان من الصادقين. May the punishment of God be upon me if he is truthful. So there, she's going to make dua against herself. And if she does that, she will not be punished. Then their marriage contract is broken, yani, and then what? After that, yani, khalas. It's over now. What you gonna do? Turn it into juicy gossip and scandal like the kuffar do? No, we are Muslims. Let's stop here. Any question? That dua you asked me for, that's the most famous dua, most frequent dua of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if you knew it. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. I'll write it for you, inshallah. There was another one you asked me to write for you. I'll write it for you. I didn't forget. I did forget, but I keep remembering. So I didn't completely forget. He said, can I explain li'an again? That's the whole lesson. Did you just, now you just came in? And that's the lesson. Meaning of your question is, can you say the lesson again? So, li'an is when a man uh, wants to accuse his wife of adultery, without having the 4 witnesses. So he does that. That's the li'an. Bārakallāhu feek. No stoning to death. Not if she just makes the dua. If she does the whole statement, the procedure as worded, also for the man and for the woman. It's important. It's a condition that they both adhere strictly to the words, or else it won't be valid. Like if the man did this and he said it the wrong way, they're going to whip him. That's the religious judgment. Just by changing some words and then he doesn't say it the right way, he deserves to be whipped. And look how our religion is easy. Maybe some person might say, this is too easy. Can we leave this in the hands of the people? Should this be something that the people can do like this? So the religion came with that. Our religion is easy. And Allah Ta'ala did not make much of our religion dependent on the decision of a third party. Yani, meaning, look how the non-Muslims do, where so many things they cannot do them on their own. For the kafir, for example, you can't even sell. Can you sell your house without getting, for example, I don't know who involved? I don't know how you can do it. Or your car. And can they get divorced without going to the judge? And many things they cannot do according to their own way. And then, what does the judge do? If he wants to, really, the judge is going to do whatever he wants to do. Don't you ever forget that. That judge and any person who has some authority is going to do whatever he wants to do. Could be that he could solve your problem right there, and then he tells you you're going to come back in 2 months. Just so when you come back, he still don't solve your problem and say to you, you're going to come back in 3 months. If he wants to, that's what he's going to do. And then you spend, for example, a whole year for something that could have been taken care of in one day. That's how the kuffar do.
Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Yes.
The question I got right now is: say you get with 2 people that husband and wife, they both lying, but then nobody know.
Well, here, if she, yani, in the case that she did defend herself, that means someone's lying. And it's possible that he could lie on his wife here, which of course is haram. And if he does, the rules will still apply.
Bārakallāhu, sir.
I mean, wafiq. And the thing is, though, Yani, you have a valid question there. But you know, the Muslims are not as interested in fraud as the non-Muslims are. So the non-Muslim would take something like that as an opportunity to commit fraud, where the Muslim is not going to go through all of that. It's going to say that's haram. It's going to be few and far in between for the Muslims because they have honor. Muslims have honor. Question: when we hear a certain sinner deserves to be whipped, with what type of tool the punishment is carried? They have a whip that is not long whip, not like the kind that the Americans used to use for whipping their slaves, that long bull whip, not like that. It's something has a handle and maybe just has a strap on it, or maybe, I don't know if it might have more than one strap on the end. It's not very long, and it hurts and yani enough. And they're going to whip you with that. If the husband accuses the wife of adultery, can he retract it and accuse her again and again? I don't know. I haven't heard about that. Here's a question. It says here, I have a completely irrelevant question. Can you tell me what's the deal with vanilla extract? There's a huge amount of foods containing it and would like to know if there's any way to consume it. And after you answer that, can you break down the wine additive thing you spoke about of a while back in a lesson? For example, wine vinegar. Okay. So, vanilla extract, usually they put alcohol in there. So, alcohol is usually a main ingredient of vanilla extract, so then you can't use it if it has alcohol in it. So that's that. And as for wine additive that I spoke about, I don't think I spoke about a wine additive because I think this is the first time in my life those two words came out of my tongue ever. Wine additive. So uh, I didn't say something like that. Wine vinegar. I never spoke about wine vinegar. Also, uh, so I didn't speak about that so that I can elaborate on it for you. Yani, maybe I said something, but I didn't say these words you are asking me about. So if it's based in cooked foods, vanilla extract. So there's a rule. If you are not sure that there is najasa in your food, if you're only doubting, then you can eat it, as long as it's not meat. As long as the food itself is not meat, and you're doubting if there's something najasa in there or something haram, you can eat it. You're allowed to eat it as long as it's not meat. So he says, so is it possible the alcohol gets completely cooked away? That's irrelevant. If there's alcohol and it gets into your food, it's gonna just contaminate your food. That's like if urine dripped in there. What if nice, just one little drop of urine, just one single drop of urine dripped into your pot? What you gonna do with that pot? Would you say, ah, it evaporated that urine? Probably you wouldn't. Yani, I advise you not to. So that's irrelevant. It's going to contaminate your food. So you're going to throw it away. I mean, feek. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك